Hi, this is Barry Eaton. And this is Radio Out There. Today I'll welcome a co-host. More of that in just a moment. But we're going to have conversations with a medium. Not just a medium, a wonderful and very talented medium, Marcia Quinton. Well, hi there. Welcome to Radio Out There. And I have two wonderful people with me today. And first of all, our guest, I'll introduce her first of all, Marcia Quinton. Marcia, I regard as one of the top mediums in Australia. And that's because I've worked with her many times and I know just how wonderful she is. So we'll be talking to Marcia. And for the first time on Radio Out There, especially in Vision, I have my wonderful partner, Anne. And Anne is going to join us. Anne is, we met at the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival a long time ago. Anne's a wonderful psychic, clairvoyant, and also a numerology expert. So there we are. Welcome to you both. You both
Thank
not
you.
say a word.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be
Thank
here.
you. Hello, Barry. It's lovely to be on here. Lovely to talk to you.
It is, and lovely to talk to you. And welcome to Anne as well. Say hello, Anne.
Yeah, sure. Great to be here. A bit out of my normal milieu, but happy to join you both.
Well, that's right. Anne has helped me a lot behind the scenes, so she knows all about the program. So, Marcia, let's, as our special guest, tell us a bit about your background, because you and I have worked together, and I've seen you demonstrate wonderful medium work. You've also done a fantastic medium session with me. Just tell us a bit about yourself for all our people.
About myself, one of the reasons I came into this work, although I'd had inklings of strange happenings all through my life when I was young, but it's when I lost my daughter. She died and I just could not accept that. And I guess Spirit was putting that information into my head at the time and I didn't know that, but I couldn't accept I'd never see or hear from her again. So that's when my search began. And I was led to Enmore Church, and I spent a long time there. I felt like I'd come home and I'd felt the presence of her, and I felt very comfortable with that. So I stayed there and learned and developed and taught and become a reverend and ran the church with another medium for 34 years. But I'm a registered nurse and I know the pain and suffering that people go through with suffering, whether someone's sick or whether someone's died. It's a difficult thing, but I always see that when they do pass, they go to the light, and you get the sense when they're going to pass, and you know that they're going to be okay. You just stand next to them or you just send out a thought, and with the ability that the Spirit have helped develop, they're able to link to that thought that I might have or that energy that I might have as a nurse, and then they pass more easily. And since I've left nursing, I still feel when people ring me, the same thing can happen. So it's a distance thing. It doesn't have to mean that you've got to be right there. It can be a distancing. The power of the Spirit blows my mind sometimes. And the capabilities that they have, if only we would persevere, and many people would persevere and develop that link really strongly, amazing things can happen to help them, but also to help a lot of other people and create amazing phenomena, which I think everyone in the world needs something today.
That's for sure. Do you find more and more people are accepting the fact that we not only go to an afterlife, but also we can connect?
Oh, I'm a great believer in the fact that the awakening, as I call it, the awakening and the conscious awakening and the stirring of the conscious mind has sped up enormously since we've been going through a lot of terrific issues throughout the world. And it doesn't matter. I always say, you know, don't judge everybody by what they do. If they're searching, so they are looking for something, and that's what Spirit want, is for them to open themselves up and search for something. They might get a little misguided here and there, but Spirit will have a way of bringing you back to the right path in the long term. But I think due to the fact that there's so much need and so much hunger in the world for something more, and also with all the troubles we have, I definitely know that there's been a quickening, and Spirit are closer to the planet now than they have been, and I feel that they are being rushed to help those who are coming over and rushed to help those who are in need, and so we need more. I always think, and I've always had this vision of late, that we are the frontliners. We are the frontliners for anything to do on the spiritual world, and be able to see those through, but also to help those who are in this life. And we're in the trenches. We're not great. Maybe we don't have a great light out there, and our name's not in a neon light, but we are in the trenches, and we do the hard work, and we do the work. Because we're always there. And wherever I go, whether I do a demonstration or whether I do a church service, I look at the people and think, yeah, it's happening. Because the more strangers I see, the more faces I don't know, I think, yes, they're coming into this awareness. They don't know much about it, but they're sitting in those seats. They're starting to step forward because we need them. It doesn't matter if you don't have a great foundation. It's what's inside and what your connection to the spirit world is. It gives Spirit a greater light here on the planet. And that's really a great power that each and every one of us can lend to the earth plane and to the people.
Yeah. So I was at a wonderful spiritual first meeting about a week or so ago, and there were so many people there that I had never seen before. So what you said is right. More and more people are attracted towards connection, to opening up, not only to spirit, but also opening themselves up because they're looking for something. Would you agree?
Yes, I think they're wanting to know what's beyond and what else is there. Because let's put it, some of the communities are failing. Some of the government's certainly failing people. So, I mean, the people are becoming more charitable. They're looking for something. And so if Spirit are drawing them forward, it's to help, you know, get that army together, as I call it, you know, get those people aware so that they're all helping each other, because everyone has a need. And I think you're right. When you look at all the new faces, you think, yes, this is good. This is good.
Diane, you've worked with Marcia before. I think you were in more church with her in the very early days, weren't you? So how have you found the whole development area from your point of view, starting off as a psychic and then moving through medium work?
Well, yes, certainly lots of ups and downs over the years. And I was a very definite novice when I first met Marcia, and taken by a mutual friend of ours to one of her demonstration events, and then did some work with her at the Enmore Church. And she was a long way from where I lived. It was over an hour to get there, but I was drawn like a magnet, Marcia. Thank you. And over the years, the ups and downs and different people I've met who were interested and expanded their group, their areas of interest, and I was somehow launched into the mind, body, spirit environment, shall we say. But I remember too, a long time ago, Marcia, I'm not quite sure how long ago, when Margaret Dent passed away.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
And you were the celebrant then. And
yes.
I do remember you saying something prompted you, and I'm not sure now after so much time, oh, that's Margaret. She's just popped in to see how everything's going. And it was as simple as that. It was so real to you. But then, of course, the rest of us were all smiling and, oh, yes, Margaret's here. And she just knew how to contact you.
It's what you learn. It's lifting the veil, really. It's really lifting the veil, and Spirit won't do that, rip the veil off, because there's a lot of physical energies that have to be considered, which is our human form and our mental awareness, particularly the mental awareness and the mental state that we're in. So they're very cautious in how they lift it on some, because they can become a little over the top and obsessive, and they don't want that. So often they'll only lift it slowly. It might frustrate people, but it's the way it is. They take that responsibility, and we should take responsibility in saying, okay, we'll just travel slowly, we'll get there. But a lot of people want it yesterday, you know, they want to be able to communicate yesterday. Not everyone can do that straight away. And that's why we have the multitude of teachers that we have. And if people would be regular at that, they would be a lot better. As you know, Anne at Enmore, everybody was regular. They would always come to the group, and they would all, and there's many like Ezio and quite a number of them out there, you know, Melda and all of those that came through the church. And I started at the church when Margaret Dent was there. And she was one of the very few public clairvoyants around at that time. And I really admired her getting up there and going out and doing her thing. And it's only realize it more when you get up and go out there and do it yourself. You're thinking, oh, take a breath. Because, you know, it's really up to you. It's you really got to be able to deliver the goods. You've got to be able to work with spirit properly. If you set yourself up and you fail, don't get upset. Get up and do it again. Yeah. But Margaret always said that. She always said that. You know, don't give up. Just keep going. You know, this is how we learn.
But it is
But she
tough,
was an
isn't it?
she was an amazing medium, Margaret.
Yeah, she was. I never met her, but I've heard so much about her. I read her book as well. But it is hard. I mean, I've trained as a medium, and I were at the Arthur Finlay College, and I've over many, many years developed my medium skills, but I don't feel comfortable standing up there in front of an audience and trying to tune into it or whatever. I do it one-to-one, and I still have problems if I'm asked to stand up and do a demonstration. So is there something wrong with me, Marcia, or is that fair?
No. I always say if you get up there and you don't have a few nerves, I'd be surprised.
Like an actor.
You know? Yeah. And also it depends on your type of audience. You know, you've really got to work hard with some, and some you don't have to work so hard because they're more open. And if they're wanting complete and utter validation or every tiny little truth, that's a really hard one to do. But it's just that I trust those I work with and think, well, this is what I'm being given. I can't change that, because then it's me and that's not what I'm all about. But it is a little nerve-wracking. When I first started, I think I had a lot of nerves. But now I think, okay, they're there. I'm at this age. I know they're there. Why do I worry? And just accept it like that.
Now, this is an experiment, because it's the first time I've ever sort of been co-comparing with my lovely partner, Anne. So, Anne, don't be afraid to ask a question or be part of it, because I know I will, as an interviewer, I keep on doing this sort of thing, popping in all the time. But feel free, Anne, please.
Well, I guess something that comes to mind as a result of a recent conversation I've had with a friend of mine who's worked with you in the past, and it was how to interpret what you get. And I think in a sense you might have just covered that a little bit. You get the image, you might get a word, you might get something that's synchronicity. So then the interpretation then would be very distinct for whoever the reader is, surely. Is that how you see it?
Well, you know, the mechanics of mediumship and how spirit work with us using the physical energies that we have to induce that are the same for every single person, okay? But we're a personality. So spirit have to learn to work with us as a personality. They have to know us, know how we speak or what we do, because it takes us a long time to grow or to refine things when we first start developing. So they'll show you things that you might be able to interpret quickly. They'll work with you in the way you are. You're a personality. Not every medium delivers the same. Not every medium works the same. If you look at them, you'll think, oh yes, they're working in their own personality way. If you know them, you know that for sure. But when they give you things, it could be obscure, so obscure. But you have to communicate with them in your thoughts and say, look, I don't understand that. Give me something a bit more. Give me a name. Give me this. You have to communicate with them backwards and forwards sometimes. But when I work, it's very quick and I don't have a lot of time to go back to them. But when I ever see me pausing is, oh, I don't know how to deliver that, so you better give it to me another way. But it's not every medium is going to be the same, but the messages will come. But you have to learn to trust it and give it as it's given when you are in a group. You're never going to be able to work if you just think, oh, no, that's my mind. I'm thinking, well, let's just put it out there and see what this person thinks about what's in your mind, because that's what spirit would be delivering. And that person will 9 times out of 10 say, yes, I understand that. But, you know,
is it
it's
your mind or is it your consciousness that the spirit is working with?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Well, you know, there are times when you have, say, they want to bring a grandfather through, okay? And people will see their own grandfather. They relate straight away. Spirit haven't got to work so hard. They've tapped into your consciousness, brought through someone that you're comfortable with, someone that you knew, and straight away they say, oh, that's my grandfather. I'll say, no, they're trying to show you have a grandfather coming through. It's easy for spirit, and it's less stressful for the medium to be able to struggle to describe them or whatever. It's a quick way sometimes, or a mother or a father, or an uncle. That's how it works. How it works, Barry.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, fair enough. Now, you talked before about the veil. Now, for some people who may be joining us for the first time or not had a lot of experience with mediums, talk a little bit about the veil, because lately that veil that separates our two worlds, this life and the afterlife, seems to have been lifted or getting thinner or whatever, because I'm getting messages all the time. And even when I'm just talking to somebody, bang, it would come through, and I'm doing a reading for them. And I find other people, I mean, Anne, you've had the same thoughts, haven't you? The veil is thinning or something at the moment.
Well, it is thinning because of the greater need that's here. There seems to, from what my interpretation of what they show me is the veil is being lifted a little bit more, and it thins in places, and there's more access to the spirit world. There's more availability for spirit to come through, because if they lift the veil or make it thinner, they can come through a little bit easier. You know, for example, when I did church on Sunday, this lady, she said, oh, my friend came through. I couldn't believe it. I saw her and everything. And I said, well, she wanted to bring you a personal message. So because of the energy in the church, it thinned everything out and was able to come through. And she saw her, felt her, and she said, I couldn't believe it. I said, no, but she wanted to give you a personal message. And that's why I think people are feeling things more. You know, because people are in the spirit world are wanting to come through and connect with their loved ones more, you know, without having to go to a medium always. They just want them to know they're there. Can't do that always if the veil is very, you know, if it's too thick, but if it's thinner, they'll come through. But the veil will never completely lift because it separates us from that world. Not in my time, Barry.
No,
all your time.
Not all my time. No, I'm going to leave this for you.
I just wanted to mention something. They've been talking to me in my ear here about rescues and the confusion that comes with, because we're talking about the veil, we're talking about people coming to us and we're seeing them a lot. The confusion that arises sometimes. People saying, oh, I've got someone around me, I've got an engineer, I've got a bad spirit, I've got the... If you're starting to open, everything's going to perhaps at times feel like that. But if you're not in a group, it's going to feel like, oh, I don't know who that is, because you can't see, you can't You get the fear factor comes in straight away because you can't see them, you can't hear anything. But if they quieten down a little bit, they might get the sense of the presence and who it is there. But there is a misunderstanding about what's really needed to be rescued, and what really need is someone trying to make a communication. They're not always your family. They're not always someone you might want around, but you just need to address it and say, look, this is a serious issue. I don't really need you around me. This isn't what I want. They need to exert their spiritual energy and say, I'm sorry, you're crowding me. Just move away, move back. Or please, everyone, ask the spirit to move, help you with this or assist you with this if you're feeling uncomfortable. And when people start to develop, I get a lot of this, that, oh, someone's around. And if you're developing at home on your own, is that a good idea? No, not really. If you're starting to open up, you do need a guide here on the earth, which is usually a teacher or a medium, just to get the base and get you settled and get you comfortable with that energy. And it helps you not think, oh, I've got someone with me, or I'm meditating for 3 hours. I don't think that's very helpful for anyone, because they're opening up and they're not closing. They're opening up and expanding their aura. That light attracts. Let's face it, light attracts moths, light attracts all kinds of things. Is it not true? So you're a light, you're a powerful light. The longer you sit in that energy and meditate or keep yourself talking to the spirit world, you're going to get a little mentally unbalanced. You need to find a group, or if you're in any dire straits, go to a church, sit in the congregation, talk to someone there, or speak to a medium, because they're telling me there's a lot of new people working and a lot of new people not quite understanding that rescue and their soul needing rescue is really, really, really has to be really, really a confrontational issue. It's caused major troubles. And I can tell you, there are a lot who are earthbound. There are a lot who don't want to move on, but are comfortable, and people are not being disturbed. But when they disturb, that person has to get some help, because that's when they start activating and controlling the mind. It's the mind they start to control. And your mind is a great source of imagination and great source of, you start to feel things happening to your body. You start to feel things happening on you. You just need to cut off. You need to shut it off. You just don't keep pursuing it. Shut it off and get some support. And I'm serious about that. I've done a lot of rescue work. I know you have, Barry. But there's so many new people that I talk to that seem to be a little confused about the energies around them, and really they need to sit in a group to experience and explore the fact of how the energies actually feel under a guided circle. That way they're going to feel, oh, I can deal with this. I can deal with this. I'm okay. It's not always an entity. It's not always a bad spirit that's there. Not always. I've done some tough rescues, I can tell you.
When we talk about rescue, we should just explain for some people who may not understand what a spiritual rescue is.
Well, a spirit rescue is someone that has decided not to leave the planet, has become earthbound, has determined to cause trouble because they're still attached to certain things in life, or they're just downright not nice, and they're quite difficult.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it takes mediums to do it. And you can't always, the availability of clearing energy is easy. Cleansing a house, doing energy work is easy. It's a spiritual aspect. It's a powerful spiritual aspect that's used. But clearing a really difficult, aggressive, and unpleasant entity or spirit that's trapped or won't move on, it's not easy. And it doesn't happen to every single place. But you will find in some houses heavy energies. tend to attract a negative, if you understand what I mean, a negative energy, and it might start getting you depressed or down, and that energy might attract others. So we need to keep the energies in our house, and that's the spiritual energy I talk about. Everyone can do it. They can cleanse it, clean it, burn some incense, put music on, open the windows, clean the house. There's all ways of clearing heavy energy, so you don't attract any of this, and where it affects you as an individual. And I think if I'm talking, the both of you realize that people can influence you in life. You're in a company of someone who's a bit down. By the time you leave, you're drained, or you're sad yourself, or you're down yourself. You're around sick people, you come away thinking, oh God, I've got no energy left. So you can imagine if you're living in a house with a heavy energy building up, and you're getting more depressed, you're just adding to it, you can imagine the state of the energy. And you as an individual, it's called responsibility, clear it.
One of the things that I've found useful when I've been on my own, especially as I've been unwell for most of the last 3 months, is having a light and bright, cheerful music playing.
Yeah, great.
Because sometimes you get so, well, in my case, I got sick of myself of being sick all the time. So it's like put on something cheerful, a lovely Andre Rieu, for instance. He's got a very nice band and lots of singing and dancing and bagpipes and all sorts of amazing things. And that's personally what helped me. But I'm sure that people will find their own style of music or entertainment that can lift out of that darkness.
Well, following on with that, Anne, as you know, any kind of spiritual work, and we do it on a group, or we do it in a church, we do it for rescue, or we do it for anything, is music. They like energy because it helps spirit. That energy lifts vibrations, and it lifts others' vibrations. There's a two-way sword for that. If they're lifting the vibrations to help the medium in any demonstration or circle or group, it's also helping the people there by lifting up their energy so that they go. It's like a healing. It's a form of healing, really.
Yeah.
So you're right. Music is one powerful thing.
But we have to raise the vibration, don't we? Because the vibration on Earth is very much lower than the vibration in spirit. So we have to raise our vibration. They have to, unfortunately, lower some of theirs so we can communicate.
That's right. That's exactly right. And you're talking about that as a trance medium, as you well know. We have to sit for a long time for our energies to, be able to work smoothly together, for them to come in, for you to be able to cope with their energies. And it's like meeting in the middle, but it's a lot of development work to be quite a good trance medium for that to develop. And we all think we're doing the work, but I know most of it's done by spirit. And we just turn up sometimes, or
we're just
we
the medium in
meditate.
between.
Because I know, it's having been a trance medium for years, I know the difference with someone that isn't as highly involved in the spirit world as some of the other spirits are. You can tell the difference in the energy. You can tell the difference in the energy. May not know what they're talking about because you're not there, but it does tell you through the energy levels. For example, apparently I did this trance address on Sunday at the church, and this young Scottish lad of 23, I think he said he was, apparently. This is what I found out. And he was a Scottish lad, and he was 23. But once he'd had his talk, his red feather came back, he came through then, and because he said red feather's very strict, he doesn't want me to stay too long. And I had never worked with this young man before. And his name was Alistair, and red feather said, he's over enthusiastic, excited, and overboard a little bit, but he's in training. And I thought, wow. So they train him up there as well to be able to come through. And it must be a delicate situation to come to a form. And I'm sure you've been in groups, the two of you, where you've had children come through who seem to be able to break the barriers of anything. Any level energy in the world, they can come through. But it's amazing. I thought to myself, wow, you're doing that up there. You get sick of teaching us down
Why
here.
not? Why not? But listen, we should explain. We should
I
explain
felt
at the
really
moment
like
that
a
red
queen.
feather is your guide, because you
Yeah.
mentioned red feather, but people might say, "What? Who's a red feather?"
Oh, he's my guide.
Yeah,
He's
thank
been
you.
around for a very long time. I know that because I had a regression, and there he was above me with a mobile, you know, those mobile things that they have. And when I was a child, we didn't have any mobiles. I didn't see any ever.
No.
And here he was with this mobile over me, entertaining me. That was my vision. That was where I went to. And I thought, oh my God, he's been there since I was a baby.
That's wonderful.
So it's pretty amazing when you get that evidence. You can say to people, yes, they are there with you. They are guiding you. They are supporting you. It may not be visual, but they're there.
Yeah. Sorry, Anne, what were you going to say?
When you talked about visual, do you actually physically feel as if you're seeing somebody standing next to or behind the person that you're reading to?
Yes, you can. You can see them. They have to hold. It has to take. It takes a lot of energy. Sorry, I'm trying to get this out the way I want. To hold that energy takes a lot of energy on the spirit world. So when you're reading one-on-one, imagine it's just you and that person who's is uninitiated most of the time. So if you see someone, it's not for long because their energy couldn't hold it for long, and my energy, I'm working doing other things. So, but in a crowd, you can see them. You know, you can see them standing behind. It may be a light form, but if you look and ask, you'll see glimpses, but it's never for long. It is never for long. And when you get things from the spirit world, it's usually a couple of seconds, and then you've got to grasp it. So it takes a lot of mind control to make your mind focus on those things. But often you'll see a light, you know, an extension of the light around them, and that'll be it. Other times you'll see maybe not all of them, or parts of them form. And it can happen anywhere. Can happen anywhere. It happened to me in the hospital when I went to see my brother, his brother-in-law, his partner's brother. I looked at him and there was a Mohawk Indian behind him, and I went, oh. You know, that was all I saw. It was very quick. So I thought he wanted me to let him know he was there. So I don't do that with everyone, Anne, or they might lock me up.
So obviously, red feather is not a mohawk.
No. He is, I have to tell you, he's the most gentle, caring, compassionate guide. And I always think about that. And I always think, if this is an example of what I see, what I feel in a guidance, then people should take notice. That is how they come. They come with your interest. They come to care for other people, but they come with such compassion and such love. And he shows it in every way with everyone he's ever worked with, and to me. I sometimes don't think I'll ever reach that height, be able to, you know, but I'm on the earth plane, I say to him, so sometimes I have bad thoughts. Well, people give them to me.
Oh, of course I do. Talking about guides, I don't know about you, Marcia and Anne, but I have quite often people say, oh, how do I get in touch with my guide? And do you ask that question?
How about you answer that one first, Anne?
Well, I've just taken it a bit for granted, Marcia, because I just, from a very early time, I just know that there is, I'll say, an energy. And I go back decades and decades now of being at the Mind Body Spirit Festival in, I think we had a visiting speaker from the States, and we were put in little groups. And there was a lovely lady called Kay. Actually, she was a nurse, I believe. And she put a question to me, and I just said, oh, yes, but this is such and such. Well, how do you know? Well, I just knew. So I just say that from my earliest understanding, it's just that there is an energy. I don't normally see specifically a face. And I know you've given us some amazing examples of images that you've had over the years. But for me, it's not so much a face, it's more an image or an energy, even a light at times, like a figure emanating light. So that's how, personally, for me, that's just my knowingness.
Well, that's a good description for you to put out, and so people, other people listening will think, well, okay, that's all right. Someone else sees it other way. But I also know we sense a lot. When we're working, we don't always see, we sense a lot, and it works very quickly sometimes. You just suddenly know something. And that's, you know, to me, that's a soul level. You just know, they just told you, and you can't dispute that. And I think if more people listen to what, well, it's just what I feel, it's just what I know, it would probably get them out of a bit more hot water than they get themselves in because they doubt it. But people do ask, you know, how do I get to know my guide? Well, I think I've already said, they will sit in a group, sit in energy, do what you can to work with mediums, particularly mediums, because they've got the spirit connection direct. Some psychics are very good, they're a bit of both. So you need to sit with someone who's spiritually aware and able to help you get to achieve that. But I've always been made aware that they'll tell you when they want you to know. They'll tell you when they want you to know. And it took a while for me to get the connection with Red Feather, not very long, because of the trance, I guess. But it's interesting. It's really interesting. Sometimes people cling to that one guide, okay? Which I did a little. And then I thought, well, he can't do everything. You know, he can't do the healing, or he doesn't do this, or he doesn't, but he would direct those teachers or mentors to me from the spirit world. And if we just say, oh, no, I don't want to do it, you're not going to progress. You've got to be open to other teachers, and you've got to allow yourself to evolve, because the guides are responsible for bringing those people to you and elevating your abilities. And often you'll hear people say, oh, now I've got a new guide, You've got a new teacher, you've got a new influence, you've got someone else guiding you on a particular area. Well, that's good, because you mean you've learned everything you could on the level the teacher before can teach you. So now you've got someone else that's taking you a little further in your progression. And that to me is how it works. So you could have a multitude of people around you helping you with your development. Believe you me, if you could see how many are gathered around an individual with their development, you'd be amazed. But when you get into a group, it's even more amazing when you see the whole crowd coming in. They're not going to always show themselves, but they're going to be there to help you with that development. But you have to evolve, you have to develop. And so, you know, your guidance is responsible for that. You've got a doorkeeper who protects you as much as they possibly can. We have our own free will, so we can get ourselves into trouble without, then we don't listen to anything or don't listen to the feelings. We can get ourselves into trouble, but they have to help us get out of that trouble. But, you know, we do have to reach out for more and more and more, because we need to evolve if that's what we want. But if you're happy where you are, Spirit will be happy leaving you there if that's what you want, because you just don't want to, you don't want to struggle anymore. A lot of people won't work with survival because it's very hard getting evidence, and working with that is always hard, you know, to develop into that area. So I've had a lot of people say, oh, Mars, I don't want to do that. That's really hard work. I'll stay on the psychic level. I'll say, fine, that's what you're going to do. You're still contributing. And it is a hard one.
It is. But as you said, changing guides, since I've known you 20 odd years now, I've had a couple of changes of guide, and you have influenced in some way or told me about them or whatever, including the last one I finished with last year. And my new guide, who I'm not going to tell everybody who it is, but she has been so fantastic. So wonderful.
Yeah, elevating you.
That's right. So I take your point there about evolving, because by the time you finish with one, if you're expanding, and to me that's the purpose of life, to expand and develop our soul, our consciousness. So if we're going from guide to guide, then that means it's like a teacher, isn't it, who's moving us on to the next step in our education.
That's right. That's right. I've always had Red Feather around, but I've had a lot of other influences in my life, and I recognize them and I respect them, and I really honor the fact that what they bring to me. And there's always someone there willing to bring something to you to help the progress of others or to help your progress. Even your family. Even your family. I had a friend who passed a long while ago, Betty, and I got such a shock out at Warrington one night. There she was in the green dress that I helped her buy, all looking beautiful. I've come to help you. And yet she would have quivered and shaken like a leaf if she'd have got up on a platform or had to stand up and do anything. And she didn't want to get all involved, but she loved being around what we did. Anyway, she's there helping me with the readings. And I thought, well, I never. So it can be family as well as
That's
friends.
Sure. What about you, Anne, and your contact with your clients?
Just taking me back to the thought I was just having, just talking to Marcia there about people who've been familiar with what you're doing. I'm just wondering, Marcia, about shall we say, the medical influence of your background. Would you be getting guidance about people's illness?
Yeah.
And would you get guides in that situation?
Well, I worked for 2 years in a healing group with a Dr. Gray, and that was phenomenal. That was my early stages of working, and I've done a lot of healing. But in my nursing, I was aware the healers were there, and I'd know when I had to do something, or I'd know when I had to tend to someone. So it's a natural thing for me, and it's a natural thing for them to come and give me information about their conditions or something that needs attention, or, you know, and it's usually all right, always spot on. They don't bring me anything that's not right, because that would be upsetting for the person. They always bring me guidance. I don't have a problem with that because I know all the medical, what goes on. But a lot of people have said they were grateful because it guided them to get a second opinion. And that one lady wrote back to me, and she said, well, I told my dad, so he went and did what the spirit said, and now he's walking around. There's nothing wrong with him. Because what he was being treated with, it wasn't working. It was making him sick. So it changed his life. And that's not us interfering as mediums. A lot of people, a lot of teachings say, you can't give out medical diagnosis or whatever. I'm not giving a medical diagnosis. I'm just saying what I'm seeing there with them at the time, the current thing that's there with them at the time. So it's not a diagnosis. It's already there, and they need to have it looked at.
But that's
so are they getting some kind of spiritual healing, do you think, or advice, or something subconscious when that's happening?
Yes, they would be getting healing. They would be. If it was brought up from spirit, they would be getting healing. But, spirit are not morbid. I don't know where some people seem to think it's a real serious thing.
Oh, no,
it is.
Humor.
But it's got to have humor. If it's always morbid and heavy, you're not going to get anyone to come and listen. You're not going to get anyone to want to sit through that. They'll be asleep, or they won't be taking a note. It shows, to me, it demonstrates to me that, they're full of joy and happiness. They were here in life. They're not going to come with morbid. Sometimes there's a sadness or a seriousness, but a lot of the time you have to lift the spirit. You have to lift the people up. So that's how I work anyway, or how they've got me working at the moment. So I'm happy with
you
that.
were fantastic when I saw you a couple of weeks ago. I've never seen a spiritual church congregation laugh so much. You were so good, so wonderful.
But they were happy, and that was the main thing.
Yeah.
I did Chatswood on Sunday, and they were the same, so it was good. I'll tell you who came through out of the blue. Cheryl, remember Cheryl from Skyhooks?
Oh, Cheryl, yeah.
Yeah, he came through and just came into the room, and I said, does anyone know him? I said, he's just come in. But what he brought through cracked everyone up, so he just popped in and just finished the service off. And I said, wow. And his message was, life is to be loved and to be enjoyed, and not to just stay down in the doldrums and sit at home and wait for it to come. You've got to go out and reach out for it. That was
That's
his
right.
message.
That's wonderful. And that is a lovely message to finish on, because we have run out of time, ladies. But
All right.
what
Be
a
lovely.
fantastic way to finish. Thank you so much, Marcia and Anne. And look, I could talk to you guys for hours. Maybe we can do this again sometime soon.
Yes, that'd be lovely. Thank you, Anne, for
Right.
being a partner.
Pleasure to be
You're
here. See you again,
fantastic.
Marcia.
You're fantastic.
Your
You
first
get
time,
used to it.
that's right, your first time as a host, Anne, on TV.
Okay. Well, who better
Not
to
the
do it with
last.
than you and Marcia?
Okay, bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.